Hey Al, I've seen people talk about this problem quite a few times now, and I've seen it mostly in online communities where people share their experience with the Pod Go and what they can and can't do. Now, I'm paraphrasing the words of the many here, and the problem we're gonna take a look at is this. I can't get a clean sound and a lead sound with just one patch. Is this really a problem? Can the Pod Go do a sparkly clean sound and a soaring, thick, rich lead sound with just one amp? I'm gonna show you that it can, and I'm not gonna use any overdrive pedals when I do this. What I also want you to do is that you take all of this with a grain of salt. Inside this Fender Strat, the pickups are vintage in output, and to add to that, two of them are also noiseless. Also, my pickup height is fairly low when I compare it to suggested factory settings by Fender or any of the other brands that use single coil pickups. Those two things, along with how heavy-handed I am when playing, will have a massive effect on the amp's headroom, and that's what we're exploring in this video. Simply put, the harder you come in, the harder you come out, and that's all I'm gonna say on this topic for now. The first thing that we're gonna change is the amp itself, and I'm deliberately picking an amp that I know that has a massive headroom. So under the amp block, I'm gonna select the Mesa or the Cali for lead. I'm not gonna touch the settings now. I'm gonna bring my guitar all the way down. Now I'm gonna add two more things. I'm gonna add a simple delay after the cabinet, and I'm gonna add a room reverb. Or actually, let's do a plate reverb this time. Let's do something slightly more. Okay, now let's go to the cabinet section and see what's going on there. And I'm gonna change it from the 160 ribbon because I don't like how the 160 ribbon sounds on the V30 speakers that are 4x12 Mesa style. Also, the distance, in this case, I'm gonna leave it at default. I'm gonna bring up the low cut up to, I don't know, 110. And I'm gonna bring down the high cut around 7-ish. I'm gonna dial in some early reflections here. Now let's go back to the amp block and see what kind of sound we got with just the default settings except for the cabinet section. To my ears, this is a heavy, very heavy crunch sound. Now I want to do some changes to it. The first thing that I want to try is bring the lead gain and the lead drive to a more reasonable level. Now let's see what happens. Now the volume is way too low, and what I want to do now is bring up the master and see what will happen then. I want more master, and I want even less drive. I'm gonna do a few other things now. I'm gonna bring down the bias, and I'm gonna bring down the bias X. I'm also gonna bring down the ripple control. One other problem is that I hear is that this particular sound doesn't have enough low end, at least not in my headphones right now, and I trust my headphones a lot. So I'm gonna bring up the bass control. Okay, I've been playing on position number 2 on my Strat, which is supposed to be kind of sparkly. I'm gonna switch to the neck pickup, which is supposed to be a lot warmer. I'm gonna bring down the feedback of the delay just a bit now. Okay, so let's agree that this tone is clean. Is it clean enough? Now I'm gonna put the parametric EQ that we had from the start, but it was disabled, and I'm gonna do some, we don't need the high cuts and the low cuts here because we already did them there. But I want to push something that's more sparkly, so I'm gonna go to the 2.2K region, leave the Q the widest as it possibly can be, and I'm gonna bring the gain by, I don't know, 1.5 dB. I'm gonna bring down the lead gain and the lead drive even more. I'm wasting too much time on this clean sound, and I know that you want to see how I get to the lead sound. Now I'm gonna assign a few controls to the same Footswitch. I'm gonna use the one that's free, that's Footswitch 5 right now. So I'm gonna assign the lead gain to Footswitch number 5. I'm gonna assign the lead drive also to Footswitch number 5. I'm gonna assign the channel volume to Footswitch 5 as well. And finally, we're gonna assign the master volume control of the amp to the Footswitch 5 again. Now this tiny arrow below the lead gain category is the one that we're gonna bring where we had it originally, and the lead gain was at 1.0. I'm gonna do the same with the lead drive, but I'm not gonna do the same with the channel volume because I want the channel volume to go down once I increase the gain and the lead drive. And the way you do this is by setting the minimal value above the one you want and setting the maximum value below the one you want. I'm gonna just do a wild guess here. So the minimal value here is 9.3, the one we had originally for the clean sound, and the maximum value will be lowered once I increase the gain and the drive controls. I'm gonna do the same thing with the master control because I want the master to draw back just a bit as I increase the gain and the drive. Now I'm gonna push the master here, and I'm gonna bring this back down. Okay, let's set the maximum values for the gain now. I'm not gonna leave it all the way up to 10. I'm gonna leave it maybe somewhere around 7 or 8. And I'm gonna do the same with the lead drive control. If I press Footswitch 5 now, check out what happens. Can you see what happens? So the lead gain and the lead drive control jump from 1 all the way up to 7.6 and 7.4. Also, the channel volume drops down from 9.3 to 8.0. Also, the master volume control on the amp drops down from 9 to 8.2. Okay, let's try to see how gainy this is. So to me, it's obvious that we're pushing the amp way too much. First, I'm gonna lower the value of the drive control, and again, I'm gonna lower the value of the gain control, and I'm gonna bring the master volume just a bit down. Okay, let's see the transition now between the sparkly clean that I announced at the beginning of this video and the lead sound that we are hoping to get here. Also, this tone is a bit too pokey, so I'm gonna bring the master down to 6.5 actually, and I'm gonna do another thing. I'm gonna assign another control to Footswitch number 5. Let's do this. So Footswitch number 5, assign the treble control to it. Originally we had it at 7.2. We're gonna leave it at that for the clean sound, but I definitely want less treble when I'm pushing these amounts of gain, drive, pushing the front end of the amp, and I want to compensate for some of the negative effects that it has. If I turn off the delay for just a second. And this was all on the neck pickup. Let's try the bridge. Okay, it's getting way too hot in here, and it's not the amp's fault. This is not generating any heat. It's the middle of the summer. I'm sorry that I didn't get into detail this time about why I lowered the bias and the bias X category, but you have to know that all of the controls that you see below now, the sag, the ripple, the bias X, and sometimes there are a few other controls there, like the hum, they all have an effect on how will the amp react to your guitar and how will the amp behave. Now I seem to be lowering those values because most of the amps in the pod in their default state seems to be pushed quite a lot, and that's not something I necessarily like. We technically don't have an amp that is two-channel by nature within a single block. We have, for example, the Cali 4 lead, the Cali 4 rhythm, the Cali 4 clean, which are the three different gain stage variations of the Mesa Mark IV. But we do have snapshot control and we do have Footswitch control, and there are so many things you can do with it, and this is one of the things that you can definitely try to do. So to sum this whole thing in a sentence, for a sparkly clean sound, bring down the gain, bring down the drive, bring up the master if you feel that you're starting to lose tone. After that, assign those same controls to the same Footswitch and manipulate their values in just one click. As you can see, we go from clean to lead, from clean to lead, from clean to lead. Anyway, that's it. If you want to try some of my free patches that I've been creating for a year now, you can visit the links in the description box below. Just visit the Google Drive folder and you'll see a lot of goodies inside. I've really can't stop talking about this. Bye all.